What's going on, guys, and welcome to March's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me today is Sarah to my left, your right, and up in the box, we got Chevy again. Hopefully, you guys are doing good, and hopefully, you guys are excited that we're moving into a new month, and we got new games to play. We will find out what our game of the month for April is in a sec, but we found out the PlayStation Plus games. This isn't Plus Club, but we just did Plus Club, so make sure to go check out that episode where we talked about Ghost Runner, Ark Survival Evolved, Team Sonic Racing, and Ghost of Tsushima Legends. But the new games are Slay the Spire, Hood Outlaws and Legends, and SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, which I am not looking forward to saying that name for the rest of April. But those are the games we'll be playing. What do you guys think about the new PlayStation Plus games? Also, I want to apologize real quick. We have a cat that resides here, and he's very upset, it sounds like, and he's just kind of going at it. So if you hear that in the background, that's what's going on. So I don't know what to do about it. He typically isn't this crazy. But anyway, what do you guys think about those games?
The only one I really know that I want to try is Slay the Spire. The other two games I vaguely know of, but I don't really have any information. So it'll be interesting to try them out. So
yeah,
I guess I am kind of interested to give Hood another go. But I wasn't that impressed with it when I played it on release, and I was kind of hyped for it before it came out, so that was disappointing. I just remember too that somebody in the Discord was super into that SpongeBob game one time, so I'm kind of interested to play that.
Yeah. So I played Slay the Spire before. I played on PC, played it on my phone as well, so I've played it, and I'm excited to see what it plays like on console. Played Hood, Outlaws, and Legends already as well. Played that on PC. I played it with you, and I was not too happy about what I got as opposed to what I wanted, so I'm hoping by now maybe they've done some stuff to make it exciting, interesting, and we'll find out. So it'll be fun to review that game. And then, the only game out of these three that I am actually really interested in playing is SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, just because it's a game I haven't played, and I like to play games that I haven't played. I've also never played a SpongeBob game, so we'll see. But I heard good things about this when it came out, so I don't know how to take that, and I will find out, I guess, when we play it. So I am, I'm always stoked to try new stuff. So yeah, so those are the games for PlayStation Plus in April. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about those, and we'll talk about it really soon because it's going to come out on Tuesday. So, all right. So as you guys know, well, you probably already know because you saw the title. We played Humankind, and we'll talk about that in a sec, but we have to pick a game of the month for April. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'll explain this for you guys. Anyone who's been around for a while knows how this works. Every month, we have a back burner list. I think we have 20 games on it as of right now. They're all games that we want to go back and play at some point, so they're all kind of sitting there. We update it regularly, and every month we pick randomly from it using a random number generator. But every 3 months, we allow people from TLG and then also the community to pick a game. In January, I picked Icarus, and that's what we played. And then it's been a couple months since then, and April will be the next month someone gets to pick. It was Chris for a while, and Chris is not on the show anymore, and he's welcome to come back at any time, but he's doing, personal stuff. But Sarah has been on the show regularly, and so we're going to allow her to pick in his place in April, and and then we'll go another 2 months after that, and then Chevy's pick, and then the last pick will be the community pick, which I am planning on trying something we haven't done before, so stay tuned for that, but that will be in October, I think, when we do that. So Yeah, stay tuned for that. So yeah, Sarah, you can take this and do this however you want. You can explain or just drop it. Tell us why you're picking the game we're playing in April, and yeah, anything you want to say on it. Go ahead.
So I did put a lot of thought into this. I wanted to pick something that was relevant, but not necessarily like a new release that we're all going to be playing anyway. So also this is a game that I feel like I have talked about a whole lot, and I just couldn't really help myself, but Godfall has a update coming out this month, and I think it'd be interesting if we tried it out and talked about it.
So Godfall is your pick?
Godfall. The Exalted Valor Plate update or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they're apparently making a lot of changes that the community has been asking for. So,
and they're also updating Valor Plates, giving each Valor Plate an ability, which will be an interesting discussion to have, considering when we talked about it for Plus Club, when we got the Challenger Edition, which Chevy will be able to play, so you don't have to buy the game or anything like that. Chevy was, I wouldn't even say critical, but Chevy had brought up that it was mostly a numbers game, and I guess we'll be able to review and see how these Valor Plate abilities will affect the gameplay, so that'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's, for me, like a game that's underrated. So, you know, I feel like I'm always looking for an excuse to get people to play Godfall, so.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm down to play Godfall. I was planning on trying it anyway with the new update coming out. I think it comes out on the 6th or 7th. Something like that. Yeah. So
it's also coming out on Xbox finally. Oh,
yeah. Good time for that. So our Xbox players will be able to discuss this with us as well. I mean, it's no secret. Me and you played Godfall quite a bit. We got really into it again on a second time when it came out on PlayStation Plus. And, I mean, I think we're both in the 200s, but I'm like 200 something, pretty high up there. And I got to the point where I was like, I can wait till a substantial update comes out, and here it is. So I am excited to, I was going to play it anyway, like I said. So I'm excited to be able to talk about and review what they do with the update, and potentially maybe excite people who maybe have written it off, or, had some criticisms of the prior build of the game, and maybe it'll be exciting and refreshing for people to hop back in. So, but I'm stoked to try it out.
Yeah, it seems like they're addressing a lot of the criticisms, so I think it'd be a good chance to see if they did enough.
Yeah, and they're doing like a lot of quality life shit, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
I mean, I'm always curious when people, take the time to actually, especially after a while goes by with a game like this, where they make changes to not necessarily the foundation, but like systems in the game and stuff like that, to try to make it more I'm at a loss of words. I almost want to say accessible, but desirable for more people to potentially get into. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious for sure.
Yeah, they're supposed to be adding like cosmetics for every Valor Plate, and like multiple things you can unlock for the specifically to the Valor Plate. They're like abilities, and then each one of those can be upgraded 5 times a piece. I think they're trying to make them a little more individual feeling. I mean, to anyone who plays the game regularly, they're pretty individual, but like I think on a more like
plates, 4 unlockable shards. Oh, I was just reading the patch notes.
Yeah, so there's some pretty substantial changes they're making.
A lot of combat changes too.
Yeah, and I think every weapon is going to have its own thing that it does now, which is kind of interesting. So it's going to be quite different, and it's actually going to be really fun, I think, to talk about. So that's what we are playing, and you guys can play as well, because this came out, I think, in December on PlayStation Plus. So if you have the Challenger Edition, make sure to play that, or buy the the full thing if you want, and then we'll talk about the end of April. Anything else you guys want to say on that? All right. Yeah, so I'll put this in later. Okay, so in March we played Humankind. If you don't know what Humankind is, I kind of do. So it is a civilization like strategy game where you play as different cultures and you go through different eras, essentially competing to an endpoint, similar to Civ, where you win by different parameters. You get to make your own avatar for your civilization. I hate that I'm saying civilization because there's a game called Civilization, but these are civilizations. You get to take on different cultures and their attributes as you hit different eras. You get to kind of change that as you go. So there is a constant changing of ways to play, which is an interesting thing within this genre. It features a more hands-on combat system that does kind of feel like an RTS in some ways if you choose to play like that. Otherwise, you can auto battle. I forgot what it's called. But you can just skip that if you want. And yeah, you look at a map and you make diplomacy decisions. You make like combat decisions if you want to go to war with people. You can make trade deals with people. A lot of the things that you would assume you would get from a strategy game like this. We all played it, and let's start with Chevy. What'd you think of Humankind in March?
Okay. Excuse me. I I knew, going into it that it was going to be a Civ style game. But I guess what I wasn't really realizing is um, how familiar it would be in comparison to Civ. Now it has its differences; it does play differently, but I found myself picking it up pretty quickly. Once I got uh, kind of the flow of how like your units worked, because that was kind of the one thing that was a little kind of the major hurdle is the like in Civ, you make a settler, and the settler goes and makes towns, and you can do that as many times as you want. Versus in this game, you have a scout, and then you have to acquire X amount of resources to make settlements, and then settlements are limited uh, based off of your tech tree and stuff like that. So um, it was an interesting take on it. I don't really know if I have a preference one way or another, but it was fine. I actually kind of the one thing I would give it credit for is like making more of an even playing field in that regard. Um, I didn't do any of the combat manually. I kind of just did that all auto. I don't really play these type of games to be that in control. It's more of a micromanagement thing for me. I probably should have checked it out, but I didn't. I can't really comment on that so much. I did quite like the ability to make an avatar and your own like civilization, which also expanding when you're learning like religions and um, social policies and stuff like that. You can change. It can kind of like adapt and change as it goes along too, and you basically can become similar to other like historical countries and stuff like that. And I actually really like that system as well. Uh, the other one I was going to mention I liked. Oh, the trading and the diplomatic system was pretty straightforward and kind of tiered. So you would go through one set of options, and that would bump you like let's say into a more friendly relationship with someone, and then you get another set of options afterwards. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way to handle diplomacy. It was really easy to trade for resources. So like when I got to the point where I was like making airplanes and stuff like that, I needed some resources that were on their continent, and it was really easy to just be like, I'll just give you money for that. You just give me access to that, and I was able to make planes and whatnot. So.
Mm.
It's very similar to Civ in the regard of like when you're doing your tech tree stuff, you either wait until you have the um, point allotment so that you can pick another tech to learn, or You can just queue a bunch of them up. So I just kind of went through the tree and queued them up, so I didn't have to think about it the rest of the game. I also kind of like how you have the ability to like make different types of parts of your city on specific tiles, and you get different like bonuses for that. I thought that was handled pretty well as well. I do kind of wish, and maybe it was there and I missed it, but one thing I like about Civ is when you have a worker, you can just tell them to do improvements automatically, which might not be as efficient, but when you're playing a 6-7 hour game, sometimes I don't want to really think about it too much. I'm not playing on like a crazy hard difficulty or anything, so that would have been kind of nice. So I could just go back to just clicking through my cities, but I guess there are less cities, so I'm doing less of that. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't really feel like strongly like in the case of like comparing them. So I feel like they're pretty comparable to each other. They're just a slightly different play style.
I feel like this game is an answer to Civ. I think it's an alternative because it has a lot of similarities. Yeah. It's obviously built with Civ in mind, but it seems like they have systems that they think are, and a lot of them are, but it feels like they're trying to improve upon what Civ has done. And that's not to say that I think is an improvement or not. It's just that they're absolutely making a game in the same image, but they are trying to make one that they feel is a better version of it. Like the combat is different, and the diplomacy is a little different, and the trading, all that stuff. It's just like all these different improvements across the board that make it feel like a fresh take on Civ. It's while I was playing it, I was both. It was a weird thing where I was like, I kind of want to play Civ, but I was also like, I kind of like how this feels like Civ but different. It's like a new experience. It's interesting, but yeah, they're completely comparable. Like they're pretty similar.
For sure. And overall, I had a pretty decent time with it. I don't know, because they're pretty comparable, I don't know if I'd rush out to go buy it. I played this via Game Pass because I unfortunately was offered the $1 for 1 month deal on it. So I went ahead and took advantage of that and played it that way. And I already own Civ, so I don't think there's enough there to push me to buy it over just like turning on Civ and playing it. But if you don't have either and you think the system's sound a little, not to get too in recommendations here, but I do think I don't think you'd be disappointed. So, but yeah, overall, I had a pretty good time. I don't really have any critiques of it, to be honest. So
yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. Everything said, I'm like, yeah, I pretty much agree 100%. Sarah.
I really liked this game. Actually, I think I prefer it to Civ, personally. Though I do agree, I think it's hard to kind of put my finger on like exactly how like it's different exactly. Like, obviously you can point to like specific systems, but it feels a lot the same, but it's definitely also feels different. But I really liked the music in this game. I really liked the art style. I like the little like cutscenes that they give you. I enjoyed making my own persona or whatever they call it. I really like when you're kind of getting into the game, they give you the options of all these different like existing cultures. And there really is a lot of difference in how they all play. So you kind of start off with one, and then so it gives you this framework, but then still lets you really customize like how you build your culture, like a lot of different options as far as like what kind of religion you're going to have. And then within that also options to customize that even further, like kind of focusing on different things that kind of affect how your culture evolves. The civics are really interesting. There's a lot of them. And I think the scaling with kind of that is really good as well. Like later on in the game, you kind of get to the point where it's really expensive. So it's not like you can just go through and pick through everything. You kind of have to pick and choose like what's important and how you want to build your culture. And then every era you get to pick a new culture or stick with the same one, which has a benefit, but also, you know, there also, I think, is a little bit of strategy to maybe like starting off with one kind of culture and then picking something different a little bit later to kind of change how you progress. I thought that I think the one criticism I have of it is that I feel like the load times are really long.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, which, you know, I guess, you know, you're not really loading a whole lot. It's just, you know, like when you load back into your game after having left or something like that. It's not like there's a bunch of load screens or anything, but yeah, it seems like obscenely long to sit there for a few minutes while something loads.
I feel like it's a similar thing to Civ though, where it's loading AI, what it's deciding to do with what you've done, what has already been done. It's more of like it's traveling down like the routes of where the AI is gone more than like visually loading in things, because the game doesn't, like compared to like most games out there, doesn't have much to load. So yeah.
Yeah, I really like the customizability you have when building your cities. There's a lot of like complexity there that just kind of gets me really interested and makes me want to play it more. Like, you know, building certain districts next to other districts or on certain tiles, but then also you can unlock infrastructure or, you know, wonders or things like that further give you benefits based on like where districts are located or what they're next to, or eventually, you know, if you start to connect cities, you can, you know, further customize that too. The resource nodes I think are cool. I really like the battle system actually. I had a lot of fun doing the manual battles, the use of like terrain and, you know, when you start to unlock some more of the military technology and different units, it gets even more intricate. I found the auto battling to be a little bit frustrating, which I used initially kind of when I was still getting my footing with the rest of the game. It kind of felt like playing XCOM 2 sometimes. You know, it'd say I had like a 75% chance of winning or something, and then I'd still manage to lose just by chance.
I was on the opposite of that, dude. It'd be like fucking, they got a 60% chance of winning or 70 or whatever percent chance of winning, and then I would win. I'm like, oh, sick.
Yeah, I didn't like how that felt.
Yeah.
But I did really like how the custom battling felt, and getting into like naval battles and using harbors, and just there's just a lot to this game that kept me really interested and makes me want to go back for more. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right. Yeah. So first off, I'm just going to say I didn't put as much time into this game as I wanted to this month, because this month and last month, well, I guess it's April technically. So February and March, a lot of games dropped, and I've been trying to play them all. And I have been able to fit in all the games I need to play. But yeah, I didn't play Humankind as much as I wanted to, not nearly enough. I only got about 2.5 matches in. I only got one complete one. I got my ass kicked, but I learned a lot from it. And then the first one, I didn't complete because I didn't like how it was going, so I wanted to start from the beginning again. So mostly this month was me learning the systems of the game. The game is very Civ-like, so a lot of it kind of came naturally, but then it also has its own individual systems that I had to learn. And so that's pretty much what I was doing. So without going through all the things that pretty much Civ does as well, because it does a lot of the same things, which I like. I'm a big Civ fan, so that was fun. I like that you make your own avatar. I also forgot what they call it in the game, but I think it's cool to get to customize your own person. It's not, some historical figure, which I also like because I like history. But I thought it was a really cool take to be able to make your own character, especially in the idea that I didn't get to do of playing multiplayer. I think it'd be cool to see everybody's own creations of their leaders, and also the attributes of personality, and if this person's more dictator-like or more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Diplomatic. I think it's a neat take. It adds some personal touch to your civilization, makes it feel a little more personal and not just like playing somebody else. So that's pretty cool. I also thought it's not the best editor in the world, but it's pretty good. Every character I've seen anyone make, they all look different, so that's pretty cool. I also like the art style. I think the art style is actually really nice. It pops a lot. It's really colorful. Unless you scroll the fuck out, then it turns into this like gray fucking dystopian world map wasteland that is ugly as shit. But as long as you don't scroll out that far, the game's really nice looking. It's a really good looking game. Gameplay is pretty much what you'd expect from a game like this. Moving from tiles, placing things on the right spots for the right resources, building infrastructure technology, which I like. But that's, like I said, something that you'd expect from a game like this. Combat is an interesting take. I don't know if I love it, but I kind of played a hybrid. I didn't do one or the other like you guys did. I would mostly just hit the auto button if it was like passive shit, but then if it was like an important situation, like someone was invading something or I was attacking somebody, I'd be a little more hands-on. I do like that it has that just because, like I said, it's an interesting take on combat because in Civ, you pretty much just walk up to another tile and then they bump each other and you see what happens based off of what the units are. In this, you can actually position characters around and it feels a little more strategic. But again, if you're playing a multi-hour match, or you've been playing this game for like 100 hours, something like that, I could see easily how somebody would just start hitting the auto button over time just to kind of skip over situations. So I'm glad you have the options. I think it's a really cool system that they did. My only complaint about it is I think the AI is not that smart, but that's not that big a deal. A lot of games like this don't really have that smart of AI. I think the AI did a lot of weird things. Let's see. Like I said, the match I actually completed, I came in third place, so that kind of sucked. But it was fun. It was cool to kind of go through. I had it on the sped up version. I forgot how it's set up in this. There's the standard, and then there's like you can play it where everything's kind of like you go through and you develop things faster. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
multiple of them, yeah.
speeds.
Yeah, I did the one right above the standard one. So my game went a little faster just so I could kind of see the arrows faster and see what's going on with that. I also like that how they do that, the arrows. You have to complete certain objectives and you get these stars. And when you fill up your stars, you get to move on to the next era. I believe that's how it works.
Yeah.
And then you can continue on or change your culture, which I think is kind of an interesting thing. It was cool to have that. I don't want to say dynamic. It's cool to be able to decide, because in Civ, a lot of times people will be like, oh, I'm going to be diplomatic. Oh, I'm going to be like, nice to everybody. Oh, I'm going to fucking build an army and just destroy people. And in this, like midway through the game, you can be like, you know what? We were trying to be nice, but now we're going to become a war culture. And I think that's kind of a cool system. Gives you a lot of freedom to play your character, your leader that you made the way you want, which I think is really neat. I experimented with that a little bit. I would read through all the stats of that, each culture, and be like, well, that's something. My fucking civilization started starving. I was like, I gotta start working on food shit. So I picked, I forgot who it was, but they had like a lot of food stuff. I'm like, that's what we got to do to stay alive. So that's what we're gonna do. So that's cool. I also really like the dynamic events that happen in the game that give you choices. That's kind of a cool, like, because just like in Civ, you're waiting for things to develop. It takes multiple turns. You're making decisions. You're positioning things. But every once in a while, something pops up, and it's like, hey, you have rats. Do you want to use fucking ferrets or do you want to use cats for this situation? And it has pros and cons to both. And you make a decision on that. Or like, oh, these people are discovering some religion. Are you going to be against it? Or are you going to be for it? Or kind of do this middle ground thing? And there's different positives and negatives to that. And I think it's a really cool system because it gives a dynamic nature to each round that kind of makes it feel new and different, can kind of benefit you or throw a fucking wrench, in the gears of what you might be doing. I like the diplomacy system. I like the trading. I like that there are multiple levels of it. I also find it interesting that if somebody attacks you and they can't defeat you, you can demand things from them to make peace, which there was somebody who just kept attacking me over and over and over, and then they'd be like, let's be friends. And I'm like, okay. And then they fucking show up just invading randomly, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then it get to a point where it's like, they want peace, and my guy gave me all these options of what to demand from them to make peace. I was like, that's kind of a cool system. And the dialogue between characters, I think, is neat too, because it's vague enough that it can really fit any situation, but it's also interesting enough that there's that much dialogue that kind of fits every situation when they're talking to each other while you're making these deals. I already kind of touched on it, but when you're like making deals with other cultures, there's like not a shitload of options, but there's a good amount to the point where like you can be like, oh, open borders. You can walk, across my place. I can walk across yours. You can also be like, are we at peace or do we allow skirmishes? Like we're still cool, but if our guys find each other and clash, are we cool with that? Like there's some really interesting things going on with the diplomacy that I would like to explore more, playing it more when I get around to doing that. Because this game is pretty complex. There's a lot going on in it. And even though a lot of it is, what you'd expect, a lot of the systems are also new to me. And I need to learn them even further. But yeah, it was cool. The big distinction I felt when I played this game, though, is I hate to keep compared to Civ, but like it's so much like Civ, and not in a bad way. I'm actually glad it exists to offer an alternative. Civ feels like a classic strategy PC game. This almost feels like a board game, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's very much like Civ, but also feels structured in a way that I feel like in Civ somebody could be like way fucking better than you. At the strategy or whatever, and that would come into play in this as well. But there's also factors in this that feel like it's been tailored to make it more accessible and give dynamic things happening to make it feel, I guess, more fun for everybody. So I don't know, it feels kind of like a board game when you play it. So yeah,
kind of reminds me of Civ Revolutions, except like it still has the complexity of like full civilization game, but like the accessibility of that console version.
Yeah, I think I played that on my phone at one point. I didn't play it much, but it was pretty neat.
I used to play it a lot on console.
Yeah, but overall, I liked it. I don't know if I'd say I like it more than Civ. I'm a diehard Civ fan, so I would definitely say I like that more. But I think it's a really good alternative, and I'd really like to see a Humankind 2 and see what they could do to improve upon this or maybe add more things to it. I think it's a really solid foundation. And I really enjoyed mostly that I was playing a game that I'm kind of familiar with, but just the different take on it. I like the more personal touch of it. I like the art style. I think it's a really good looking game. I like the colors. I'd like to see them improve the combat maybe a bit more to make that more enticing and less like, well, I'll just hit the auto button. But, it's going to be to each their own. And like I said, I did it depending on the situation. So, like if somebody's invading my city or wherever, I'd be a little more hands-on with things. Oh, that's something too I liked about it is every time my city got invaded, I forgot what it's called, but there's like a rating of like how much your people back you. And that could be affected by decisions you make and like religion and stuff like that. And I think it's really interesting because if somebody's people weren't as behind them as your people in these skirmishes, it would give you the upper hand, which I thought was really cool. Because if somebody's working in a more peaceful way, but they're putting a lot of work into their people might back them during war. That would benefit them versus somebody who's maybe neglecting their people. So there's a lot of cool little features in this game that I feel like, somebody was trying to think of some new ideas to kind of throw into a genre that's been around for a long time. So yeah, I liked it.
I felt like doing the manual combat, there were a lot of situations that they kind of give you like a guesstimate on like which army is stronger. And there was a lot of situations where I didn't have the upper hand, but I was still able to come out on top because I was able to, I was just playing against AI, but, I was able to use terrain and things like that to get the upper hand, or just like, focus on certain enemy types to kind of take out their stronger units first and able to come out on top because of it. So I liked that by putting a little bit of extra effort into the combat. It didn't matter that they had a stronger army. Felt rewarding.
Yeah. And a more hands-on strategic approach to a situation like that is going to be much more involved and feel better than just hitting a button and going, well, I guess I won. Well, I guess I lost. Fuck, that sucks. So there's a lot of, even in RPGs, when you can like auto battle, like unless you're just grinding, sometimes you're just like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And then you just hit the button and see what happens. So
yeah, but I do like to touch on something you said, the melding of the cultures, like every era getting to choose something different. It does let you really just change things up, whether it's just how you're deciding you want to change things up, or maybe, it's in response to the armies that are the other like civilizations that you're up against. But things like, I found it was beneficial early on to have like a builder society, like the Egyptians were really strong early on. And then swap to something that was a little bit more interesting later when I didn't have to build a bunch of stuff, when I was kind of more supporting my cities.
Yeah, my dumbass fucking started with a warrior culture right in the beginning. My guys start getting hungry. I was like, oh fuck, we're peaceful. We just want to eat. We're just trying to grow food, dude. I was constantly trying to adapt to the situation, but I was also learning that system because I wasn't aware that happened, and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. So yeah, definitely something to think about in games like this is, in Civ, like the culture will have like certain things that happen until a certain point, and so you want to like, if you're the French, you want to utilize that right in the beginning to strategize. But in this game, it's more like, where do you want to start and where do you want to go as a strategy? So it's a really, really interesting take in that. So I actually think it's one of its strongest features is that it's really neat.
Yeah, I like, it's hard for me to say definitively because I have also played Civ, but it just feels like this game is a little bit more accessible. If you've not played a game like this before, but
it has a better tutorial than Civ does, for sure. But it's a newer game.
It still has a lot of the complexity that you would want from a game like that.
Yeah. Chevy, anything else to say on that?
No, I pretty much said my piece.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Let's jump into recommendations. I think the easy one is if you're not only into Civ games, But if you like Civ, I would tell you check this out. And if you're a purist, maybe you'll be elitist about it. But if you're just looking for an alternative, definitely check this out. But if you're into strategy games in general, you're going to want to check this out. If you like Total War or anything like that, like check this out. It is more of the Civ variety, but it does do enough things that it does feel like a fresh new experience. So I would definitely recommend it to you. If you're somebody who's into, I mean, I guess strategy, but like history, even though it allows you to create your own thing, it does take from a lot of actual things as well. I would definitely check it out. Games like this are really hard to think of like a lot of people to recommend to, because strategy games are like for strategy fans. I would not recommend Civilization or Total War to everybody at all. So my last recommendation, I'll throw it to you guys. If you are somebody who is intimidated by strategy games, specifically games like Civ, this one does have a pretty decent tutorial that helps you through it. It does feel very modern, and there's a lot of systems in place that does feel like it gives you a lot of info. It is a complicated game for sure, like most of these games, but I think they do a good job at it. So if there's one you're thinking of maybe entering and dipping your toes in to see if you like it, I think this would probably be a pretty good one to check out first, for sure.
Yeah, I guess I just want to say that I definitely agree with that. I think, not only does it kind of have a good tutorial, but there's also a lot of options, like to make the game a little bit easier for yourself, to kind of dip your toes in, and get the hang of it, and then you can kind of get crazy with it.
Yeah.
So
would you recommend anybody else?
I mean, I pretty much just agree with everything you've said. I don't really have much to add.
Chevy?
I don't think there's much I can add either. The only thing is, even like, as someone who enjoys some strategy games, it can be difficult as well, because I'm not the biggest Total War fan as an example, which is absolutely another type of strategy game, but RTSs and turn-based stuff like this I do like. So
I want to check out the new Warhammer Total War.
Same.
Though it looks pretty sick. But every time I play Total War, I can't get into them for some reason. I don't know why, because like they're big and AAA and really well made and super popular, and I go to play them, I'm like, maybe my brain's just like, it's not Civ, which is a stupid bias to have, but I would like to try that one out since it's the newest one. I think it's like the third Warhammer one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to check that out.
So I just want to try the new Age of Empires, because apparently they did a good job on it. So
I think that's on Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do have Game Pass because that's how I'm playing Weird West right now.
Yeah.
Canceled mine as soon as I was done playing this game. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not a big rental fan, so.
Yeah, well, me neither. I forgot I even had it running, and then I found out Weird West was coming out, and I saw it was on Game Pass. I'm like, am I paying for Game Pass? Be a good reason to check that, and if I am, I guess I'll play this.
I think I got it when Humankind came out on Game Pass, and then I just realized I was still paying for it.
Yeah. All right. Any more recommendations? Nothing? It's a tough one. I feel like I want to recommend to more people, but I'm just realistically, I know that games like this are for specific people who are into this kind of thing. So it's for you and most likely not for other people. So let's grade it. Let's start with Sarah. What would you grade it? M for Merrick.
I think I'm going to give it A-. There's a lot of things I really, really like about this game. I think it does everything it, I don't want to say needs to do, but, everything it needs to do to be comparable to Civ. And then it does things that are unique as well. And I I really like the style, so I really enjoyed it.
All right. So that's an A-. Chevy, what would you grade it?
So I was just thinking of you having just a picture of Merrick at a counter.
Oh, dude, yeah. I'm so worried about editing this episode and hearing how prominent that is. He's really upset. And for anyone who's wondering, we have cats, we have dogs, we have a gecko, we got all sorts of shit. And for some reason tonight, our cat Merrick is he's very upset that we're filming right now and just yelling.
He's
so
upset he's not filming with us.
Yeah, he wanted to be on the show apparently, and I said no. So again, I apologize for the constant sound, but yeah, he's just upset he's not on the show. So I do need a little Merrick face and a little counter every time he goes meow. Once it hits 1,000, he just gets louder. Meow.
I'd give it a B+ though. I think it's a good game. I'm not like in love with it, and I would probably play it again. I would just need an excuse to actually like buy it, and I think I struggle with that. Like I said before, because I already own Civ, and I don't think they are too. I don't think there's enough of a difference for me to justify purchasing it. So, but that being said, I do think it's a good game, and I do think that if you are interested, you should just pick it up. So,
for sure. Or if you've played like a shitload of Civ and you really love Civ and you wish the new Civ was out, I would say check this out for sure.
Fresh.
Yeah, play this. That's another recommendation, I guess. Pretty much I'm in the exact same boat as you. I'm not in love with the game, but I like it. It's definitely a good game. I think I'm also going to give it, I think, a light B+. I was thinking B, but B+ definitely, just because it doesn't really have there's nothing wrong with it really. I just didn't really feel any like strong affinity towards it, but I did enjoy it. I would play it again. But again, if like I had a bunch of friends playing Civ or playing this, that would be the indicator of what I would be playing. So if a bunch of people want to play Humankind, I'd be down to play it. But I don't know if I'll probably go through it one more time because I want to like really get into it and learn everything about it. But it's a solid game. I really am glad that it exists. I'd like to see more people, make alternatives to the very limited genre that's not Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis.
Endless Space is pretty good.
Huh?
Endless Space is pretty good.
Yeah, No, it's not the same people, or is it? Amplitude?
Any of the Endless games? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, these guys have made games like this before, and I almost feel like they made that, but I don't remember. So, anyway, yeah, B+. Feel good about giving it a B+. It's a good game. I would definitely recommend it, and it was fun. Anything else you guys want to say?
Nope.
Merrick's quiet.
Anything else Merrick would like to say?
He's done, apparently.
He's done for the next 2 minutes. He'll be back. All right. Well, let us know in the comments what you guys think of Humankind. Did you play it? Did you not play it? If you haven't played it, why haven't you played it? If you have played it, what did you think of it? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? If you like it more than Civ, because we talked about Civ a lot, I specifically did. What features about it do you prefer over Civ? What do you like in Civ over this, possibly? What do you think about the avatar system, making your own leader? What do you think about the systems of diplomacy, trade? What do you think about the combat? Do you hit the auto button? Do you actually do the combat yourself, or do you do a little bit of both? Anything you'd like to add to the conversation about Humankind, let us know in the comments below. And that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month for March. Quick reminder, we will be playing Godfall in April, so if you got that on PlayStation Plus or free somewhere, or if you want to buy it, we'll be playing it through April, and we will be discussing it. So join us for that. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on our streams and our socials. Links down below. I got to get you on there. Check us out on our Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us in audio form. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. And yeah, I've been Seth. Thank you, Sarah, for joining me. And thank you, Chevy, for joining me. And Merrick as well. And you guys. But until the next episode, have a good one and take it easy.